Hi, Chris. This is Chris Stafford. I've known Chris for over maybe 30 years now, Chris, since we go back to the early Singapore days. Do you want to tell everybody just a little bit about yourself?
Well, very much the product of a family that moved around the world and grew up most of my life in Asia and Africa, with some intermission in England for schooling, and ended up in the hospitality business, which has taken me on an exciting journey across 9 countries in my career of some 34 years. So there we are. That's where I am today.
Yeah, Chris, and you speak is it six languages you speak fluently?
I speak five. I speak five. I'm working on the sixth, and that's Thai. Um, and I'm learning to read and write. And I've been learning for a year, and it's still not really sinking in, but it's getting there slowly.
Yeah, I do
But
remember.
Thai,
I think it was the Anantara Wahin where we were talking, and then all of a sudden you picked the phone up and you were talking in Swedish, and then the maid knocked at the door and you went straight to Thai, and then came back to English, and I was like, how do you process that in your head?
well, that's just the nature of you using those languages all the time. So the more you use them, of course, the better you get at it. I suppose it's a bit like you taught me the backhand at the Anantara. I mean, that sat with me a long time.
Yeah, and I'm sure some people will quite enjoy the fact that I was teaching a backhand as well. I don't think it was my favorite shot, but we'll take it. So we go back.
Well,
I think it was '93, Chris, in Singapore, Marina Mandarin.
yes, that's right. That's right. We were at the arena. I was working there, and so were you. You were with the Saha group and doing the tennis center, and I was taking care of guests like Cliff Richard, who were going up and down the escalator and the lifts in the middle of the night, looking quite odd. But
Yeah, I
that
hope
was an
you.
interesting time.
I was hoping you weren't going to mention that lime green suit, and it was really strange because I ended up working for him when I came back to the UK in his tennis foundation. And
Right.
I never saw
Yeah.
the green suit again, though, Chris.
That's probably out of date, but probably back in now, I imagine, the way things are.
Possibly, possibly. It's funny how many times Cliff Richard comes up in conversations because I was actually on telly with him last year. It was his, I think it was his 60th birthday year or some anniversary. And every time he's come to the Northeast, I've always hit with him a little bit, having worked for his foundation. So his PA rang me up and said, "Graeme, can you have a hit with him?" I said, "Yeah, that's fine." So I organised the hit, and then all of a sudden, a week before I hit, I got another call. "Graeme, the TV cameras are coming. They're doing a documentary. Is that okay?" I was like, "Well, you could have given me a couple of more months just to get my beach body ready and my hair done and my makeup done." So yeah, it was interesting. So we were on TV, and I'd been at work, and all of a sudden I was getting all these text messages at work saying, "What are you doing on the TV with Cliff Richard?" And I was like, I just thought it was going to go to a DVD. I didn't realize it was going to be mainstream TV. But I was then starting to question all my friends. What are you doing watching it?
At that time of day.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Right.
We both left the Marina Mandarin. I was still working for Saha, and you were there for a while. And then you went and joined Bill in Thailand, I believe.
Well, that was about 6 years later, but in between we ran Harry's Bar in Singapore for many
That's
years.
right.
And then that became an institution, and Nick Leeson came and went to jail, I guess. And ended up coming to Thailand in 2000, exactly 20 years ago. And then we set up the Anantara Wahin, where we met again.
Yeah.
On several occasions, I think, more than once. So.
Yeah, I came to the Anantara Wahin and also Koh Samui, and then the Maldives as well.
And the Maldives, yes. So I actually ended up opening 6 hotels for them over 7 years. So that was quite an active time. And Anantara was a lifestyle brand. I mean, it was fun. It was lifestyle. It was relaxed. It wasn't top of the tops, but it was close to it. And today, of course, it's in 65 locations around the world, I believe.
Yeah.
So it's turned into something quite huge. So it was great to be part of that founding team and training people who today work for the company and have done well. So that's always, I think that's always the gratification of being in this industry as people. It's a wonderful people business. So yeah, so that's where we went, and then we ended up. My God, then we met you again. I think in. I'm trying to think where we were. I think it was around 2008 or 9. We were playing golf at the Banyan Tree Golf Club in Wahen.
Yeah, we'll keep that one
Yeah.
quiet a little bit, Chris, because I know you guys are in isolation as well, and the wife will be close by. But I think that was the year you got married.
That was 2009, exactly 11. In fact, the anniversary is in about 8 days. So you better call me again and remind me.
Absolutely, I was over for your wedding. That's why we met again.
Yeah, May the 6th.
I was a little bit nervous, Chris, because you give me that sword to hold, and obviously there's a little bit of security around, and there was a few important guests there, and when you cognitively start thinking to yourself, do not pull the sword out, but your hand starts to pull it out, and I was thinking, just don't do it.
That was the night of the big flood.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we were walking through Bangkok just with suit trousers rolled up and no shoes, which was crazy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Fab, I remember the Anantara in Maldives in Naladu, and actually I was there. I think it was the week maybe before it opened or it had just opened, and that was where I wrote the first book for the government in terms of physical literacy. And it was really nice to sit and really peaceful. But you had the 3 little islands which were connected, and that was quite fun.
That was a fun place, a really fun place. But you didn't want to be there for too long. 2 years on a piece of grass in the middle of the ocean is not my idea of luxury in the long term. The short term is great, it's wonderful. And then back to Thailand, and then I guess we didn't actually see you since 2009.
We haven't connected physically since your wedding.
Yeah, that's a long time. So 11 years have passed, and my tennis game has not improved, but my hotel skills have. I've opened another company called 137 Pillars in Chiang Mai and Bangkok, which if you get back here, you must have a look at. I've since gone into consulting, which you know about, and we're now developing programs for both training and we're also looking at quality assurance to make sure, because in the next step, Graeme, it's going to be all about quality, consistency, which it always has been, but it's going to be more acute, and making people feel safe and happy when they come to Thailand, which they usually are anyway, but we're going to have to accelerate the program. So it's going to be a big period for rethinking the model, which is where you come in as a coach and a professional in your area, and perhaps we can work together to find ways to bring that to the market, because I sense there's going to be a need for a lot of rethinking the paradigm. We're not going to be able to do the same things. I don't think. I think this is going to be a new world, which is going to be tough, but it's going to be good, I think.
Yeah, and I think there's positives and negatives to take out of this whole situation. And one is the positive that, we're going to hopefully set up something in Thailand and Singapore around executive coaching, culture, motivation, and trying to get the people and empowering the people to work collectively together as a team, because it is going to be a new team now, and it is going to be a changing environment. And one of the things which stuck into my head in terms of the conversation we had back in the Marina Mandarin was, I think it was one of the very first Bali bombings. And I don't even know whether you remember the conversation, but we were talking about going to Bali after the bombings because hotel occupancy was down to about 20%. And you were saying, well, actually, one, it's a really good time to go because it's as safe as it ever has been. And also because hotels are down so low in their occupancy rates, then cost prices are down as well. And do you see a similar model now because of international travel not being as it was, and it's certainly not going to get back to where it was for a significant period of time? How is the hotel and hospitality industry really going to function post-COVID-19?
That's a very good question. I mean, it's something that um, I'm actually being invited to speak with the New Zealand Chamber on this very topic, and it's going to be um, for a lot of players in the hotel business at the moment. It's a question of whether they'll survive until that opening period comes.
Mm.
Bangkok is forecast to reopen around July for Asian markets, so Asian markets will come back. China, as you know, is the world's largest tourist market. So we have strong indications that by the end of May, they will be starting to travel to Thailand again. So there will be a recovery, but it's the long haul traffic is the big question, because you're looking at Europe and the US looking at longer restrictions being in place on international travel, possibly as long as until next year. So then it's the question of who are the stayers, and with the stayers, it's also people are going to want to travel for a different reason. And the main thing that strikes me, and I've been doing some research on a product out of the US at the moment, which is the world's first product developed for what they call molecular bonding of the cells. And they found through experimentation that we can develop a much stronger immunity level. It's going to be about medicine, and life is going to be about prevention rather than getting to the state of where we've been in the past, which is clinical medicine. So I think when it comes to hospitality, we fit in providing environments which are safe, which are hygienically fantastic, which you won't see buffets, for example. You'll see a la carte offerings. Okay. You'll be seeing a lot of time spent on people creating nutrition for your particular body type, your particular needs, your particular, all the things that you as a trainer have been talking about for years, right? Yeah. So what you put in the gut is what comes out, and how you exercise, all these things are at the forefront. Functional movement systems are going to become huge. How we use our bodies and how we use our meditation. Every hotel will have a meditation sala. Every hotel will have yoga. Every hotel will have Tai Chi. We'll be going into all of the more creative aspects of thinking. Slow life, slow eating, taking the gadgets away while you're eating so that you metabolize properly. So it's like this whole environment that we're looking at the hospitality industry. For me, it's exciting because we're going to create a new product. It's going to be like something you never saw before. There'll be no mini bars, because again, we've noticed that with mini bars, it's a lot of the stuff is processed and out of date by the time you consume it as a consumer. So all these areas will change, but it'll be a lot more social, is my feeling, in resort. So it'll be good. It'll be a good outcome for hospitality.
I think it will be, and that's one of the things I've loved about our conversations over the last 400 years or so, is that you've always been thinking a little bit differently, and there's no harm in that. And the Anantara group, in terms of bringing you on board, and and the reputation that Bill had previously of you coming on board in terms of your role, you stayed there a significant period of time. And the Anantara grew as a brand mainly because of some of your thought processes. I think there's almost a more simplistic measure before all of that happens, Chris, and that comes down with maybe human confidence. And I think we have to get over this whole COVID-19 concept for us to feel more confident around each other, to feel more confident working collectively together. So, for example, then, in our current situation where we are in lockdown till June the 27th minimum because of Jessica's issues, well, when I go out, or when we go out, we're going to be kind of having a look at people and thinking, well, are they infected? Have they been infected? Can Jessica catch that through them? So I think there's a little bit of human connection that needs to take place again. And that's going to start with rebuilding trust and confidence. And that's where we seriously need to do some work with businesses and teams around that interaction again.
Right. No, I agree totally. I think that whole confidence issue has taken such a beating. We're also going to face the financial fallout of this event, so we're most of the forecasts and prognoses are for possibly the worst period of economic transition since the 30s. So you're going to, against that backdrop, confidence is going to be the biggest issue. Because as you approach these things, I don't know if you remember the famous president of the United States, Roosevelt, who was the last president to serve 4 terms. He can only serve 3.
Chris, hold on. You know when I said, I've known you for 400 years, I was just kidding. I'm not that old.
No.
I'm not that old knowing Roosevelt.
You were there in my previous life, I remember. Anyway, Roosevelt in the 30s, what he did was to get confidence going, because confidence was so low. He created the building of highways in America, and he called it what was it called? It was called the New Deal. That was the name of the whole program. It's called the New Deal. Now, it's very often how we put things, and we talk about social media today, such a big weapon in the arsenal of media. If we use media the right way, if we manipulate, for lack of a better word, the media to start giving positive influences. Like yesterday in Sweden, there is a very big day in Sweden because it's the end of spring and beginning of summer. And there's online, there are about 20,000 people who all linked into a Zoom meeting at the same time. I don't know how they did it, but it was via the television system. And they all sang the same song at the same time for the recovery of Sweden. And so 20,000 voices in tune, singing the same song. I mean, and you watch it and your hair stands on edge, because you go, wow, look at that. And these are all people like you sitting at home, and they're all in it, and they're saying, we're going to get back. And I think long after this thing is said and done, and I'm not saying this because I'm Swedish, but I'm actually quite proud of them at the moment, because I think that they've taken an approach that let's let people be responsible for themselves. And I think this is going to become a big issue going forward, is that we've had a herd mentality historically as a group of people around the world. And we have to learn to become more self-sufficient, but at the same time, more build confidence. So the training that you design needs to be designed to get people to really, I mean, what I always find with training is I like the kind of training that makes me think, that makes me do something. I look at hospitality training, I look at my staff and I say, because the Thais can't pronounce passion fruit creme brulee. If you ask a Thai to pronounce that, they have extreme difficulty. But they laugh a lot. And then they keep practicing it. And they keep coming back. I'm going to tell you how to pronounce passion fruit creme brulee. And then they come back, eventually they pronounce it perfectly. And then you go like this. And, and it's just, you see their change because they've had to think about that. And then they study the sound. So I think we become a thinking population that takes control of its own. This whole period of quietness, we're having to learn a lot of new things. You were learning YouTube, right?
Yeah, well, this is going to go live on YouTube. We have 30 days of interviews. And I'm not sure which madman decided that would be a good idea. But yeah, we've got 7 to 10 days of business people, likes of yourself. And we've got some multimillionaires and really high-powered investors who've been really successful. I think we have 4 Olympic athletes, a couple of professional football players. For those guys who are involved in football and love football, we've got a Premiership football player who's on week 2. And he's got some really fun stories to tell you as well. I've worked with him over the years and a variety of people. And the really cool thing, Chris, about this whole thing is, one is I have no idea about how to work YouTube. So I need to learn and get better. But 2, the ability to connect with people, past and present, has been fab. And I've loved that. And that's my training methods have always been about connection, about humanity, but empowering people to take something and then evolve it. So it's theirs. They have ownership of it. And because it has to fit into their environment. So whether you're business, education, or sport, you take the message, and through allowing that person to go through that cognitive phase of their learning and development, they can grow it. and it evolves. And that's a wonderful thing, because you can just sit back, let that happen. But that person needs the right guidance in order to get out of that little kind of fear zone that they might be in, or build their confidence levels up so that they can go and have a go and do that.
Yep. Well, I mean, take courage, because I'm still learning my backhand.
Take courage, because I'm still learning Sawadee Cap.
Sawadee Cap. Thank you, Graeme.
Yes.
Well, I guess it's getting to the time where I'm going to have to talk to my wife about what we're going to do for dinner. So,
or talk to your wife about what you're going to do for your anniversary, Chris.
Well, no. You're supposed to remind me about that, and that's why I'm relying on your usual reliable,
Lovely. Well,
because I'm likely to double fault on that one.
You will. Nice. I like where you went with that one. So what I'm going to do, Chris, is I'm going to get everybody to subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. Like the Facebook page. We'll send you a little Chris Stafford top tips on how to get through the COVID-19 and where the hospitality and hotel industry is going to go. And we'll send some links to your, was it 137, Chris?
No. Send 137 Pillars Hotels.
See, I thought my numerical dyslexia had kicked in again there. I knew it was
137. Yeah, 137 Pillars, not 138 because they're closed. 137 Pillars Hotels.com.
We'll also,
and if you want to see two of the most beautiful hotels I've ever designed, unbelievable places. So must see, must do. If you haven't been there, get there soon. They're fabulous.
And that's a big statement after Naladu, by the way. And what we'll also do, we'll send a link to you, Chris. So any of the Asian businesses that are looking to bring us on board for a little consultancy package of training and education, then they can get in touch with you as soon as we get the office in Thailand sorted out post-COVID-19. But thank you very much for your time. You have a great day. Say hi to the wife.
Sawadee Cap.
Sawadee Cap. Cheers, Chris.
Enjoy. Bye-bye, mate. Thanks. Bye.